Well, welcome to Investor in the Family Radio, a podcast about learning to invest. My name is Brian Bain, and I'm your host. At Investor in the Family Radio, we believe that every dollar and minute we spend is an investment in something, and together, we want to make the best investments that we can, so thank you so much for joining us. And on today's show, I'm going to be talking about an article I recently wrote called Trying to Keep Up with Investing News and Articles is a Mistake. And so I want to dive in that with you today, and we're going to talk about what do we do about the piling up of the newspapers, the magazines on our desks and the floors in our office, if you are me, or if the piling up of emails in your inbox, of another email with more articles to read about investing, another email with more news to read about investing, or perhaps even more podcasts queued up in your podcast app about investing or money or otherwise that you just can't seem to keep up with. That's what we're going to talk about today and what we can do instead. So I hope you'll hang around and enjoy the rest of that podcast. And also I want to remind you all that our goal here is to help you learn to invest financially and in all of life. You can always find more at investorinthefamily.com. And remember, in just a few weeks, the second online investing conference will kick off. The whole idea behind this conference is I want to help get proven professional investors that have premium expensive newsletters that are really expensive to pay for. I want to get those people and get you either free or very, very significantly reduced access to some of their content. So we've got a few investors right now, Brett Jensen, Cody Willard, working on a third person at the moment to get in there to provide some free, high quality content to you, my listeners. And so the idea is they're going to provide two of their highest conviction premium newsletter picks right now that they also personally own. And so you can see that. You can find out the research behind it, why they're investing in it. There's going to be a little video presentation, like a webinar on what they're investing in with slides and all that kind of stuff. And you'll be able to download the slides as well as if you want to, in case you don't want to sit there and listen to or watch an entire video. Totally get that and respect that. That's an advancement we're making upon from the first investing conference we did back in the spring. So I hope this is something that you'll really be able to enjoy. Will save you a lot of time, hopefully save you money, hopefully make you money as well. Can't ever make any promises there, of course. So anyway, go to onlineinvestingconference.com. That's onlineinvestingconference.com. Or you can sign up for the Invest in the Family email list by texting the word join family to the number 44222. And you get on the email list where you'll get a link on how to sign up for the conference as well. The conference goes live September 12th, and a few days before that, the free option will disappear and the price of the conference will jump to $99. So hopefully you'll get in there before the price jumps, and we'll look forward to seeing you there as well. And today we're going to talk about why trying to keep up with the investing news and articles is a mistake. And so if you are like me, like I said, in my office right here next to me, I've got a pile of old Wall Street journals piled up that I've yet to crack the seal on. Mixed in with those are various copies of The Economist, copies of Bloomberg Business Week. And then over here to my left, I have a whole stack of Kiplinger Personal Finance, Money, Fortune, Forbes, and other finance and investing type magazines like that. And then if I was going to open up my email inbox right now, I could show you email after email listing article after article of investing content that I could look at, including article or link after link to more investing news that I could follow from different places out there. And all of it's great content. All of this stuff is valuable. All of it is quality stuff. That's why I'm subscribing to it. But what do we do when there is this pileup of stuff going on? You have this mini rainforest worth of paper sitting here, or whatever Google binary data is filling up your inbox and your computer. That's just piling up, and it creates an inherent pressure of, man, I'm behind. I've got to keep up. I'm missing out on stuff. And I want to talk about why that's a bad thing and what we can do instead. Because really, what's the goal? What do I think I will have accomplished if I read all of these Wall Street journals and The Economist and whatever else, if I read all these magazines and keep up with every article and email in my inbox? What will I have accomplished? In my mind, I think I want to believe that if I read all of these things, then I will be as fully informed as possible, or at least highly informed, And then I will be able to make much better investing decisions. I will be able to protect myself from making big investing mistakes. And there's an element of truth to that, of course. If I was able to read and digest all of that information and then be able to process it in a healthy way to then make good decisions off of it, that could be really helpful. But the reality is that doesn't happen, right? That doesn't happen for me. And I'm assuming that's not happening for you, because if you're listening to this, you are probably a self-directed investor. You may be a professional investor. I know we have some professionals listening to us as well. But bottom line is, I'm assuming that none of you have the time for that. So here's the question. Why do we keep doing it to ourselves? Okay, right? Let's just be real and address something we may not want to address. The fact that maybe the approach we're taking is not the most constructive for our long-term investing goals. So what I want to do instead is talk about one of my favorite lessons from one of my favorite books, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Hopefully many of you or most of you are familiar with this book. It's a little quote unquote older, so maybe it doesn't seem as up to date or hip or whatever else or cool in the time management or personal self-help business type books. But I tell you what, you're going to be hard pressed to find a higher quality resource about self and leadership of self and leadership of others than the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Highly recommend it. One of the most helpful parts of the book for me is when he talks about what he calls the 4 quadrants of time management, or that's what I call it. I don't know if he calls it that or not. I can't remember, to be honest. But he breaks up this grid into 4 different squares, or quadrants as he calls them. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And here's what they all mean. And they're all broken up based upon whether or not something is urgent or not urgent, whether something is important or not important. So that means in quadrant one is things that are urgent and important. Okay? Quadrant 2 are things that not urgent, but are important. Got that? Not urgent, but important. Quadrant 3, things that are urgent, but not important. Quadrant 4, not urgent, not important. Okay, one more time. Quadrant 1, things that are urgent and important. Quadrant 2, not urgent, but important. Quadrant 3, they're urgent, but not important. Quadrant 4, not urgent, not important. Okay, so what Covey tells us, and I think if any of us are honest and think about it for a minute, we'll realize this is true, is that we spend almost all of our time in quadrants 1 and 3. Right? Because those are the 2 quadrants where urgency reigns. And the whole idea, you've heard the phrase, the tyranny of the urgent. And so basically, if something feels urgent, we feel like, well, we've got to do it right now, whether it's really important or not, because it feels important because it's urgent. Maybe someone is asking us for it, or there's a countdown clock or whatever else that, figuratively or literally, that's driving us to finish that task or that goal. So the reality is we spend almost all of our time in quadrant 1 and 3. Quadrant 1 is great. We should spend a lot of time in quadrant 1. We should not spend a lot of time in quadrant 3, because by doing that, we skip and abuse quadrant 2. Quadrant 2 is where we do things that are important but not urgent. Okay? So quadrant 2 are going to be things like deep study, planning, strategic thinking, rest, things that refresh and refuel us, things like those are quadrant 2 type things. And, they're things that you always feel like you can put off for when you have quote unquote more time. But the next thing you know, a decade or years have passed by and you're still spinning your wheels stuck because you haven't moved forward at all. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so what I wanted to encourage is that instead of spinning our wheels, what I've been doing, I should say, for the last few weeks is instead of spinning my wheels, trying to keep up with all this news and all these articles, and one of the reasons they're all piling up is because I've just said no. I've not been reading the paper. I've not been reading the magazines. I've been ignoring most of the emails. And what have I been doing instead? I've been reading The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. And it's the book Buffett says by far it's the best book on investing ever written. And I'm starting a reading group on The Intelligent Investor, and I appreciate everyone who's applied to that. And I'm going to get back to you soon, I promise. Again, I got sick last week and was out of town for several days at a conference, so I'm a little behind on that. But we'll get that going soon, and I'm really excited about that because I've had more sobering, I'll say, aha, or exciting investing moments in the last few weeks than I have in quite a while by doing this, by basically just cutting out the quadrant 3 stuff, all the papers and the news and the articles, and focusing on quadrant 2, investing, learning. And in this time, it's been reading The Intelligent Investor. And so it's been a great experience for me. And so what do you do? What am I encouraging you to do? I'm encouraging you to pick something that you want to become better at as an investor. It could be reading a classic investing book like The Intelligent Investor, or there's plenty of others as well. If you want any recommendations, you can shoot me an email at Brian, Brian, at investorinthefamily.com. Would love to give you some thoughts and talk you through that if that would be helpful. And then actually plan the reading into your schedule. So open up your schedule, if it's in your calendar on your computer, whatever that may be, and actually plan blocks in for reading like you would an appointment with a friend or anything else. And one thing you can do is look at an honest assessment of your current schedule and your calendar and think, how much time am I spending right now on unimportant email or news reading for investing and things like that? Because I would almost promise you're probably spending at least 30 minutes a day and don't even realize it doing those things. What I'm encouraging you to do is just drop a WMD of time management mass destruction on your quadrant 3 time and clear it out and say, I'm not going to spend this time for the next few weeks, and I'm going to focus instead on quadrant 2. And that means I'm going to read The Intelligent Investor, or I'm going to read some other book like that, or maybe there's some research on a company you've been wanting to do for a long time. Spend time and just dig your heels in and do that. Or find a great article that you've been wanting to read for a long time and really dig into it. Don't just surface skim it, but digest it, learn from it, attack it, and decide whether or not there's things, do you agree with what he's saying? Are there mistakes in what that author is writing about for that company? Something that can grow you as an investor and make you better. And I'm continuing to work on building products and investing in the family that are focused on quadrant 2 growth and quadrant 2 improvement for you as investors. And I'm excited to be able to get those resources in your hands so that as you become more of a quadrant 2 person and less of a quadrant 3 person, you will have resources ready and available to help you to do just that. So that's my thought. I hope this is helpful for you, and I hope that you will continue to challenge yourself, because I will continue to challenge you about all the time that you're spending reading and skimming articles and not getting the real value out of them, or skimming news and trying to keep up, but in reality just getting further and further behind. And continue to challenge all of us to focus on quadrant 2 investing, quadrant 2 time, becoming actually better investors. So that's the show today. That's the encouragement to you. I would love to hear from you. Is this a struggle that you feel? Is this a struggle that you're battling? Am I alone here? P.S. I know I'm not, but I want to hear from you specifically. What does a struggle look like for you? And what can I do to help you? What can we in the Investor in the Family community do to help you get rid of those quadrant 3 activities and focus more on quadrant 2 stuff? And shoot me an email, Brian, Brian, at investorinthefamily.com, and let me know what is your quadrant 2 time going to be? How are you going to spend it? What are you going to read? What are you going to study? I would love to hear from you. Let me know. And also, you can always sign up for the Investor in the Family email list. You can text the words join family as one word, join family, to the number 44222. You'll get on the list so you never miss any content, and you'll be one of the first to hear about any new products or giveaways that we have at investorinthefamily.com, like the online investing conference, which again, I encourage you to check out, coming up soon. And let me see, anything else? Oh yeah, also don't forget to subscribe on iTunes for any of you new listeners. That way you'll never miss any content there either. But all that being said, thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to hear from you soon. This is Brian, and thanks for joining the family. The information and opinions contained on this podcast are for educational purposes only. The information does not consider the economic status or risk profile of any specific person. The information and opinions expressed should not be construed as investment trading advice and does not constitute an offer or an invitation to make an offer to buy and sell securities.